The whispering pines in the heart of Indiana, surrounded by endless fields of corn, lies the small town of Pineville. With a population of just 1,200, it's the kind of place where everyone knows your name, and newcomers stick out like a sore thumb. Sarah Thompson, a 28-year-old graphic designer from Chicago, moved to Pineville seeking a quieter life. Tired of the city's chaos, she rented a charming house on the edge of town, framed by towering pine trees that swayed and whispered in the wind. At first, Sarah welcomed the stillness. She worked from home, designing websites, and took evening walks to soak in her new surroundings. The townsfolk were polite, smiling and waving, but they kept their distance, their friendliness tinged with something reserved, almost guarded. The first signs one night, while working late, Sarah heard a faint scratching from the attic. She brushed it off as a raccoon and went to bed. But the next night, the sound returned. Louder, more insistent. Curiosity and a touch of unease drove her to investigate. Armed with a flashlight, she climbed the creaky attic stairs. The air was thick with dust, cobwebs clinging to the rafters. In the corner sat an old trunk. Inside, she found brittle photographs of Pineville from decades ago and a leather-bound journal. The journal belonged to Ezekiel Pine, the town's founder. Its pages detailed Pineville's early days and Ezekiel's growing obsession with the pine trees. He claimed they were alive, whispering secrets to him, guiding his every move. Sarah smirked at the absurdity and tucked the journal away. But that night, as she lay in bed, she heard it, the whispering. Soft at first, like rustling leaves, it grew into a murmur of unintelligible words. She told herself it was the wind, but a chill settled deep in her bones. Growing unease. Over the next few days, Sarah noticed the townspeople acting oddly. They'd pause mid-sentence, tilting their heads as if listening to something unseen. When she asked, they'd smile and say, "It's just the pines." One afternoon, she stumbled across a group of children in the town square, playing a strange game. They stood in a circle, holding hands, chanting in a language she didn't recognize. Their eyes were vacant, their movements synchronized, like marionettes. Disturbed, Sarah dug into Pineville's past. At the local library, she questioned Mrs. Hawkins, the elderly librarian, about Ezekiel and the Whispering Pines legend. The old woman's face paled. "Some things are best left alone, dear," she whispered. "The pines watch over us." Unsatisfied, Sarah pressed on, uncovering newspaper clippings from the 1950s about unexplained disappearances, people vanishing without a trace. Rumors pointed to a cult that worshipped the pines, believing they offered eternal life. The truth unfolds that night. The whispering intensified, forming words Sarah could almost grasp. Join us. Become one with the pines. Sleep eluded her. She felt eyes on her constantly. In the morning, she found eerie symbols carved into the trees outside her house, symbols matching those in Ezekiel's journal. Desperate, Sarah confronted her neighbor, Mr. Jenkins, a lifelong Pineville resident. "What's happening here?" she demanded. "What are the whispering pines?" He sighed, his eyes weary. "The pines are ancient, older than us. Ezekiel discovered their power. They grant eternal life, but they demand a sacrifice every 50 years. It's how we stay healthy, how we endure." Sarah's stomach dropped. "The disappearances?" He nodded. "The pines need to feed, and the next sacrifice is tonight. They've chosen you." Before she could react, Mr. Jenkins lunged with a syringe. Sarah dodged and bolted to her house, locking the doors. But she knew they'd come for her. She grabbed her car keys and ran to the garage. only to find the engine dead. Footsteps echoed outside. Into the woods, with no options left, Sarah fled into the forest. The pines loomed overhead, their whispers a deafening roar urging her to surrender. She ran until she stumbled into a clearing. There, a massive pine tree stood, its gnarled trunk pulsing with life. At its base lay an altar, stained with dark, rusty splotches. The townspeople emerged from the shadows, their eyes glowing unnaturally. They chanted, closing in. Sarah backed away, trapped. The giant pine shuddered, its branches descending like tendrils. They coiled around her, lifting her into the air as she screamed. The final stand. In that moment, Sarah recalled the journal. Ezekiel had hinted at a ritual to appease the pines without sacrifice. With her last breath, she shouted the incantation she'd memorized. The air sparked and the pines trembled. The townspeople halted, their trance shattering. The branches released Sarah, dropping her to the ground. In that moment, Sarah recalled the journal. Ezekiel had hinted at a ritual to appease the pines without sacrifice. With her last breath, she shouted the incantation she'd memorized. The air sparked and the pines trembled. The townspeople halted, their trance shattering. The branches released Sarah, dropping her to the ground. The massive tree withered before her eyes, its leaves crumbling, its trunk collapsing. A primal roar shook the forest as the entity within was banished. The townspeople blinked, dazed, as if waking from a nightmare. "It's over," Sarah rasped. "The pines have no power now." But as relief washed over her, a strange sensation gripped her. Bark crept up her arms, her skin hardening into wood. The ritual had a cost. To free the town, she had to take the ancient pine's place. Eternal Guardian. Her transformation completed, Sarah's mind fused with the forest. She felt every tree, every whisper, voices of those bound before her. The townspeople stared, awestruck and fearful, as she became one with the pines. Pineville thrived anew, its dark secret buried. Sarah Thompson stood eternal among the whispering pines, watching over the town she'd saved, at the cost of her humanity.